what's going on YouTube? This is James with DadLord343. And today we're going to be talking about the Wolf A1 or T91. So let's get into it. A little bit of background on the T91, or basically we have to go back to this weapon is from Taiwan, and actually this upper was made in Taiwan. So this video is mainly going to be about the upper, but this is just a standard lower receiver. This is a Palmetto State lower receiver with a Palmetto State blade on here. This is a pistol blade. This is not a stock, so please do not come after me. This is a pistol blade marketed by Palmetto State as a pistol blade, and that's what I bought it as. This is a 12.5-inch pistol. Just letting everybody know that this is not an SBR or anything like that. So getting into it, basically Taiwan, I don't know a whole lot about it, but they use the T65 from my understanding. I'll try to put a picture of that above. And the T65 is basically a piston driven version of the M16. They liked the M16 back in the day. They saw it, they were like, oh, we like this thing, but you know, we don't like the dirty DI gas system, you know, oh gosh, you know, it poops where it eats, you know, like people say about DI guns, you know, which I mean, that is somewhat true, but there's ways to negate that if your rifle's well tuned, but we don't need to get into all that right now. This isn't about piston versus long stroke. But anyway, so they had the T65, which is a short stroke gas piston version of the M16 out there. So they utilized that for a very long time. I don't know what other versions were between it, but eventually they got to the T91, which is this is a version of. So I bought this. Basically, I wanted a different gun. Actually, to be 100% honest, I wanted a Korean Daewoo. If you guys know what a Daewoo is, they are amazing looking guns. I think they look super great. I've only seen one in real life before at a Bass Pro, and it was actually one in 7.62x39, and it had like the weird band thumb hole stock on it too. So that's that. But yeah, so I decided to opt for another Asian made weapon that took Stanag AR-15 mags. It's an unloaded magazine just for sake. Yeah, so that's what kind of led me to this. And this upper was also on sale. I got it for like, I think $500 or so, give or take, from Atlantic Firearms. On top of that, I did not have a short stroke gas piston driven AR system. So this is, a lot of people say this is like the HK416 at home. So because it's got the short stroke gas piston system. So yeah, that was another reason why I opted for this. But actually this thing has a longer track record, I guess, with the T65 than the HK416, but it feels like now the HK416 is the new hotness that everybody's using. But this thing has been around forever, obviously since the 60s or whenever Taiwan adopted it a long time ago. But yeah, let's get into it. So this is a 12.5-inch upper. The other reason I wanted this is because I did not have a 12.5-inch upper. I have basically every other barrel length of AR-15 variants, except for maybe like an 18-inch and shorter than a 10.5-inch, but everything else between, I pretty much got that. So I wanted something that was 12.5, and this happened to be it. At first I ran this with a can on it. It did pretty well, but I started getting failures. I think I ran it with a different buffer. I forgot exactly what happened, but I was getting failures with my can. I think certain type of ammo and things like that, so I just took the can off. I just put this little 3-prong flash hider on it. It did come with a different flash hider, but I like the look of this flash hider personally better. If you guys like the other flash hider, let me know, the standard look for the T91. But yeah, I mean, and this thing's been great so far. This upper sits a little bit higher than a standard 5.56 AR-15 upper, or sorry, this upper rail right here sits slightly higher, but that's just to accommodate the piston in there. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a great little weapon so far. I just have basically screwed around with that. I've shot at the range probably 5 or 6 times now. I like it personally. I've got a little 2.5 power primary arms prism sight on there. Just a standard Palmetto State lower receiver, just a cheap one. I actually normally run this with a DPMS lower, so I call it the Wolf Panther, because the Wolf, obviously you see the Wolf upper right there, and then the DPMS is a Panther lower, but that I do not have that lower on there at the moment, so I just this is just a standard lower. But yeah, normally I call it the Wolf Panther because of that. The upper is the Wolf and the lower is the Panther. But yeah, I mean, it kicks a little bit more than a standard 5.56 DI gun does. It doesn't shoot quite as soft as a 5.56 DI gun, but I mean, I think it's a beautiful looking weapon. Personally, I think it looks really nice. I have thought about getting a quad rail for it. That may be something in the future. It's not a priority at the moment. I have thought I need to get like some sort of light, probably to clamp on the barrel. They do make little railed, like a little rail that I can screw in the top of there, and it'll come down on either side right here if you screw it in the top of that rail. I do like the little triangle looking handguard though. It reminds me, it's kind of reminiscent of like an M16A1. But yeah, I mean, I just think this is a good looking weapon. That's why I had to pick it up. You know, I just thought it was nice. I don't think it's quite as good looking as the Daewoo, but it is pretty close. Like I was saying, I don't think that's quite as good looking as the Daewoo, but it looks pretty close. I mean, I think it's a relatively good looking weapon. Future plans for it, like I said, I may put a quad rail on here, just put some sort of light on here. I have a heavy buffer spring in here. The recoil, like I said, it is pretty stout, but it is a gas piston driven system. I will put a picture above of the gas piston driven system, or sorry, the short stroke gas piston system in it, but it'll be a picture of a DI system, a long stroke gas piston, and a short stroke gas piston, i.e. this one. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a great weapon. If you want one, they're around for now. But my kind of thought with picking this up too is Taiwan is not in the best place right now. I guess China's been eyeing it for a while. I know that they've had it spat since World War II. I don't want to get into history and all the conflict of it because I don't really know too much about it. I have a very base level understanding of it. But however, if something happens and China invades or whatever, you're not going to be able to get this anymore. They'll go away. The market will dry up real quick of these. They're not going to be shipping them, obviously, because like I said, this upper is from Taiwan, sent by Wolf, or actually it's imported by Wolf, you know, the people that make the crappy steel cased ammo and that sort of thing. So that's why I want to go ahead and get it. Not that I think that's going to happen, but just in case, you know, it's better to have it. I don't want, you know, 10, 20 years from now, me to be like, oh man, I really wish I picked up a T91 when I could, you know, for relatively cheap. I'm glad I have one. I like it. It's a solid gun, been a solid gun so far. It's got a good military history to it. I think they're unique. I think it's cool. It does turn some heads at the range. But yeah, I think they're great. But if you got any questions or comments, just shoot them below. And with that, have a great day. God bless. Thank you.